3 countries, 16 cities, 48 teams. The biggest World Cup in history. And not one single host nation made it to the semifinals. Let that sink in for a second. The United States, Canada, and Mexico spent years building stadiums, selling tickets, training players, and hyping up their fan bases for this exact moment, a home World Cup. And all 3 of them are already on a plane home. So today, we're asking the question everyone in football is asking. What just happened to the co-hosts? Is this a coincidence, or is there something deeper going on with how home advantage works in a 48-team World Cup? Let's get into it. Let's recap exactly how each host went out, because the manner of elimination matters as just much as the fact of it. Canada made it out of the group stage and through the round of 32, but their tournament ended when Morocco beat them 3-0. Not a nail-biter, not a heartbreaker decided on penalties, a comfortable, convincing defeat on home soil. Mexico, the nation with arguably the richest World Cup hosting history of the 3, this is their 3rd time hosting after 1970 and 1986, went out to England 3-2. That one at least had some late drama, but it was still a defeat in front of a home crowd that had been building toward this tournament for years. And then there's the USMNT. Out of the 3 hosts, the United States arguably had the most talent, the most storylines, and the most hype. Their elimination came at the hands of Belgium, and it wasn't close. 4-1. A team many pundits had picked to make a real run, maybe even a quarter-final appearance, got taken apart in a home knockout match. 3 hosts, 3 losses, 0 semifinal appearances. That's not just bad luck, that's a full sweep in the wrong direction. Historically, hosting a World Cup has actually been one of the biggest predictors of deep tournament runs. 6 of the previous host nations have gone on to win the whole thing outright. The crowd noise, the travel savings, the comfort of sleeping in your own time zone, the refereeing environment, all of it traditionally tilts in the host's favor. So why didn't any of that show up in 2026? There are a few theories worth exploring, and none of them are mutually exclusive. Theory 1. The group stage got too generous. With 48 teams split into 12 groups of 4 and the top 2 from every group advancing alongside the 8 best third-place teams, the group stage stopped being the pressure cooker it used to be. In the old 32-team format, every group game mattered enormously because only 2 teams advanced from a group of 4 and there was 0 cushion. Now, with 32 of 48 teams advancing to the knockout rounds, host nations may have coasted through a softer group stage without ever being truly tested, and then ran straight into sharper, battle-hardened opposition in the round of 32 and round of 16, with no rhythm built up. Theory 2. 3 co-hosts diluted the home effect. When one country hosts a World Cup, the entire nation's energy is funneled into one team. When 3 countries co-host, that home crowd advantage gets split 3 ways, and travel logistics get complicated even for the hosts themselves. The United States alone hosted 78 of the 104 matches, but the USMNT didn't get to play every single game in a stadium overflowing with pro-USMNT energy the way, say, France did in 1998 or Qatar did in 2022. It's entirely possible the co-hosting model, for all its benefits in ticket revenue and global reach, actually waters down the single biggest advantage of hosting in the first place. Theory 3. Modern squads are just deeper than the sentimental narrative. Let's be honest, Belgium, England, and Morocco are not underdogs. Belgium have a golden generation of players who've been near the top of the world rankings for the better part of a decade. England came into the tournament as one of the deepest squads in Europe. Morocco has been building steadily since their historic semi-final run in Qatar 2022, and this result confirms that wasn't a fluke. It's a program that's arrived. These are elite teams. Losing to them isn't really an upset in the way losing to Curaçao would have been. It might just be that the co-host teams weren't actually as strong as the neutral hype suggested. If you're ranking the 3 eliminations by how much they sting, there's a real case for all 3, but for different reasons. The USMNT loss probably generates the most conversation purely because of scale. American soccer has spent decades trying to build genuine mainstream traction, and a home World Cup was supposed to be the moment. A 4-1 defeat to Belgium in a tournament played in front of the largest domestic audience U.S. soccer has ever had is a gut punch for a federation banking on this tournament to convert casual fans into lifelong followers. Mexico's exit stings differently. El Tri have hosted more World Cups than any other nation, and there's a real, sometimes uncomfortable pattern where Mexico's best-ever tournament finishes have specifically come when they hosted quarterfinals in both 1970 and 1986. A loss to England here, while respectable, still means Mexico didn't manage to equal even their own historical benchmark on home turf for a third time. Canada's loss is maybe the least surprising, given they're the youngest and least experienced of the three programs at this level, but it's still a missed opportunity. Canadian soccer has been on a genuine upward trajectory, and a home World Cup was the perfect stage to cement that growth with a signature result. Instead, a 3-0 loss to Morocco is a reminder that development takes longer than one golden tournament cycle. Here's where it gets interesting for the format itself. This is the first World Cup with 48 teams, the first with 3 co-hosts, and the first with a round of 32 built into the knockout stage. That's 3 brand new variables introduced at the exact same time, and the co-host elimination pattern might be a symptom of the system rather than any single team's failure. Consider this: the tournament now lasts 39 days instead of roughly 32. Teams that advance deep are playing 8 matches instead of 7. The added round of 32 means an extra full knockout game squeezed in before the real business of the round of 16 even begins. For host nations who might already be carrying extra media obligations, ceremonial duties, and pressure, that additional match could be exactly the kind of speed bump that trips up a team riding on home crowd momentum rather than battle-tested form. It's a legitimate question for FIFA and for football analysts to sit with. Did expanding the tournament to 48 teams actually make it harder, not easier, for hosts to capitalize on their advantage? The extra group stage cushion might get teams into the knockout rounds more easily, but it may also mean they arrive there undercooked, facing sides that had to fight for every point in a genuinely competitive group. So, what do we take from all this? First, if you're a host nation for a future World Cup, and remember the 2030 tournament will be even more sprawling, co-hosted across Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, with some centennial matches in South America, you cannot assume the crowd is going to get you through the bracket. Talent and tournament sharpness matter more than ever in this expanded format. Second, this result is genuinely good news for the sport's competitive balance narrative. If home advantage isn't an automatic ticket to the semifinals anymore, that arguably makes the tournament more meritocratic, not less. Belgium, England, and Morocco earned their spots in the quarterfinals by beating hosts on their own turf. That's about as legitimate as validation gets. And third, for USMNT, Mexico, and Canada specifically, this tournament is now a data point, not a verdict. All 3 programs are still building. A home World Cup that ends short of the semifinals stings, but it doesn't undo years of genuine progress in all 3 federations. If anything, playing meaningful knockout football on home soil in front of record domestic crowds against elite European and African opposition is exactly the kind of experience that tends to pay off 4 years later. So, there it is, the co-host curse of 2026. 3 nations, 3 home knockout matches, and 3 losses to teams that frankly looked like the better side on the day. Whether it's the format, the diluted home crowd effect, or simply that Belgium, England, and Morocco are just that good this tournament, one thing is clear: hosting a World Cup in 2026 didn't come with the safety net it once did. Quarterfinals kick off shortly, and it's now a fully neutral field, no hosts left standing, which, depending on how you look at it, might make what's left of this tournament even more compelling. Let me know in the comments, do you think the 48-team format is actually good for the sport, or did it just water down the tournament we used to know? See you in the next one.